Hey there, Squaffle Sneezers. Riv here, and I'm going to tell you how to avoid getting scammed in the furry fandom. Yeah, unfortunately, like everywhere else, there are a lot of nasty scammers in the furry fandom or people from outside the furry fandom who are preying on furries and trying to steal your money. I've been a victim myself, and I'm going to share some tips and tricks I've learned throughout the years to avoid getting scammed. But first, I'm going to tell you all a story about the furry scam blues. That's right, it was 2017. I had just designed this character, and I was so excited I put it out there on the Fur Affinity forums that I wanted to commission a fursuit. And to my surprise, I didn't have to even seek out a fursuit maker. One contacted me via DMs. They were like, "Hey, I'm a fursuit maker. I see you're looking for a fursuit. What a perfect match. If you pay me $3,200, I'll make you a wonderful fursuit." And I said, "Yes, please." And of course, that person ended up running away with my money, and I never got the fursuit. So, let's talk about some things that I missed. Some massive red flags that I should have picked up on immediately and recognized this person was a scammer. First, massive red flag. The artist contacts you instead of the other way around. Reputable artists typically don't do this. If somebody DMs you and is like, "Hey, I is furry artist, I make very good art you for," that's a giant red flag. That is most likely a scammer. A reputable artist might put it out there that, "Hey, my commissions are open on a social media site that's well developed, or their website, or Fur Affinity." Now, not to say people might not reach out to you who are legitimate, maybe people who are just starting out and having trouble getting commissions, but that's probably going to happen on like Telegram or Discord or something like that. They're not just going to randomly message you on Twitter or something with a questionable looking account. And that's the next thing, suspicious social media. Look at their social media. Scammers' social media profiles are pretty easy to pick up on. A, it's usually going to be a very new profile. Their join date is going to be really recently. That's because they get rid of profiles and start new ones constantly as they scam people and steal their money. They're usually going to have almost no followers, which is a huge red flag for an artist. They use bots and stuff like that to pick up on words like commission to try to recognize people who might be looking for art commissions that they can prey on. Usually they don't have any examples of their own art. They'll just be repost after repost after repost of other artists. Or if they do have examples of their own art, it may be suspicious looking. If you look at the lines, it may look like it's been traced, or it may just look like it's a bunch of different artists who have made this art that they're claiming to be their own. You can pick up on the different styles, and a legitimate artist is going to have a recognizable style of their own. If you don't see that, it's highly questionable. Okay, here's a perfect example. Here we have Serena-Fur. Of course, in the name, they have to have fur to make sure you know they're a furry. Well, I am in Kausdumize arts in 3D, 2D, in digital. Well, I have amazing ideas in mind. Feel free, say DM and discuss about other details. Commission open. Join date December 2023. 3D artist or 3D designer. Very few followers for an artist and following a whole ton of people they're trying to scam. And here we go with the reposts. They reposted, they reposted, they reposted, they reposted, they reposted. Where's an example of their own art? Another red flag you can pick up on pretty quickly is if they have commissions open right in their profile. Now, some legitimate artists do this, but most don't. It's not a dead giveaway that it's a scammer, but it's something you should be suspicious of if you see commissions open right there in their profile. They may have a post, if they're a legitimate artist, pinned that says, "My commissions are open from this time to this time," or something like that, but they're probably not going to put it right in their profile. If you click on it, look for the stuff I talked about earlier. Another thing that scammers are going to do, this is kind of a late game thing after you've already paid them some money, is they're going to use psychology against you to try to push the deadline for refunds. Let's use PayPal as an example. If you paid them via PayPal, there's a 6-month window for each payment where you can request a refund. They're going to try to mess with your mind to get you to forget about that or to get you to feel bad for them. They'll claim they have health problems. They'll claim a pet is having a health problem. They'll go find a Google image of a cat with an IV in it or something and send it to you and say, "Oh, my poor pet is having a horrible health emergency. I can't work on your commission." Or they'll claim, like my fursuit scammer did, that they're personally having health issues. It made me feel bad, and I was like, oh, take your time, take your time. And before I knew it, that deadline had passed and my money was gone. Now, please don't take chargebacks lightly. Don't do this if they missed a deadline by a day or a week. But if they're showing obvious signs of scamming and they're not getting your work done and that deadline is approaching, you might want to consider protecting yourself by filing a complaint. Once that deadline's passed, that's it. Another story that happened to me recently. This one has a good ending because I picked up on the clues that I talked about earlier and recognized it as a probable scammer. This person got an invite link to my Discord with my permission and was apparently offering up 3D models for things like, VC Face, VR chat, that sort of thing. Immediately, they DM'd me like, hey, I see you're looking for a 3D model. I'm like, that's suspicious. 3D model makers are very sought after. If you're good at making them, you're going to have clients lined up trying to get you to make models for them. These people are spending $1,000 sometimes and waiting for 6 months to a year to get a full custom 3D model made. A 3D model maker with that level of skill is not going to be randomly DMing people trying to get business. I asked for an example of their work, and what they sent me was suspicious when I examined it. They sent me kind of a little ref sheet with 4 3D models on it. Now, if I looked at them carefully, looking at things like the eyes, feet, claws, little details like that, it became obvious that at least 2 of those out of the 4, if not 3, had been made by somebody different. It wasn't the same person. It wasn't one artistic style. It was obvious they had just stolen these images, pasted them together, and made this fake ref sheet for their supposed work. This, in my opinion, was a scammer. Now, sure, there's a small chance they weren't a scammer, but there were enough red flags I said, this is suspicious, removed them from my server and blocked them. So don't be afraid to be suspicious. If it doesn't look right, it probably isn't. Now, you don't have to be rude to people, but don't be afraid to ask for websites, other social media. Check them out. If they're a legitimate artist, they probably have profiles in a number of different places with a lot of examples of their art. Do your research. If you see them posting a whole bunch of artwork with their watermark on it in a consistent style going back months or years, you know they're probably a legitimate artist. Also, ask for references. Ask friends where they got art from. It's easy to find legitimate, good artists who are great to do business with who will not steal your money. Whether it's digital art, fursuits, just about anything related to the fandom. Learn to recognize the warning signs and don't ignore them. Don't assume that people are going to be out for your best interest. Don't just look at it and say, oh, that example of art is so beautiful, I have to have that for myself. That looks kind of funny and that doesn't look right. Well, I'll just give them $100 anyway, I'm sure it'll be fine. Don't do that. Sadly, being overly trusting, assuming that people have your best interests in mind is the way you get scammed. These scammers use human psychology against you, and you've got to be able to recognize it. It's easy to get caught up in your emotions and see something that you really want and take risks to get it, especially when you're new to the fandom and you haven't experienced some of this stuff yet. When I was new to the fandom, that's when I got scammed. I'd been in the fandom about a year, and I made a bunch of dumb mistakes that cost me $2,700. I was only able to file a chargeback on the last $500 after that fursuit maker completely ghosted me and stole a bunch of money. That's a lot of money. And even if you only lose $100, it's still bad. Even if you lose $10, it's still bad. Use these tips and avoid getting scammed yourself. All right, thank you to everybody who watched last week's Q&A, all like 12 of you. Yeah, Q&As get horrible views, so we don't do them that often anymore. We did have one more question that popped up after the Q&A was over that I want to address right now. The question was a 3-part question, actually. How many guitars do you own? What's your favorite? And do you prefer playing guitar or bass? Well, I have 7 guitars right now, and it's really hard, kind of like a fursuit, to pick a favorite. But if I had to pick one, it would be this bass over here. This color is called Surf Green. It's kind of a 1950s, 1960s color. This bass is a full custom build made for me. I had it built with my stimulus check during COVID by G&L. It's fully customized. I mean, I didn't pick a unique body shape or anything like that. That would have cost a lot more. But I got to pick everything that went on the guitar. And it's super cool. I'm actually mainly a guitarist, not a bassist. I'm kind of a novice bassist, but I would have to pick that as my overall favorite, even though I love all of my guitars for different reasons. Thank you so much to our wonderful, amazing patrons. You help keep this channel going and growing, and we love you. If you might be interested in becoming a patron, check out the link in the description. Alright, Lurks will be off to Texas Furry Fiesta this weekend, and he'll be back the week after that with a full synopsis and video of TFF 2024. It should be epic. Until then, you have yourselves a wonderful day. Stay safe and stay fuzzy. And don't get scammed.